If you're trying to get the best performance out of Battlefield 6, or if you're just having some performance issues on Battlefield 6 and aren't sure where to start, this video is going to be for you. This is a really quick, no thrills guide on how to figure out why your performance is the way it is, and how to improve your performance without necessarily having to drag all the visuals down with it. I won't go through the usual YouTuber spiel in this video just to keep it really short and sweet, but I do want to mention if you need some help figuring out your performance issues in Battlefield 6 or other titles in general, make sure you join my Discord. It is the first link within my YouTube description. I highly recommend you go in there. There's a bunch of people who can help you out, including myself, so make sure you go in there and check it out. Now that we're in the main menu, assuming that you're following along here, you're going to see in the settings menu in graphics advanced that there's a performance overlay in here. I would highly recommend, if you're trying to figure out what your performance issues are, to have this on at least simple, if not on extra, just for a couple reasons. Firstly, this will show you if you're exceeding your VRAM limitations up here, and it'll also show you your CPU and GPU compute time in milliseconds, which just means how long it's taking your CPU right here to compute a frame, and how long your GPU is taking to compute a frame as well. The fact that the devs of Battlefield included this as an option to just have in the game to toggle on in your settings is just fantastic, because it helps people who don't know as much about settings or who don't have a third-party overlay like myself that they could toggle on for the game. It helps them figure out what settings they can change. Another thing that the Battlefield devs did correctly once you have this overlay enabled is they labeled their settings with their impact to GPU bound and CPU bound performance, and also their impact to VRAM consumption, as you can see with, say, texture quality. This is frankly fantastic, and I'll show you why when we get into a match. Okay, so now that I'm actually in a match, you'll be able to see pretty quickly what your bottleneck is with this overlay. To make a long story short, your CPU and GPU work together to compute a frame, and whatever part takes longer to do the work that it needs to do for that given frame is your bottleneck. So with that knowledge in mind, I can look at the top right of my screen and see that my GPU is taking nearly twice as long as my CPU is to do the work that it needs to do for each frame. I now know that that is my bottleneck. So what I could do is I could go to my settings, so options, graphics, and then graphics quality settings. I can go in here and turn down options that have a medium to high impact on my GPU bound performance. So I'm going to go for something like screen space, ambient occlusion, and global illumination. If I take this and start to turn that down to, say, let's go GTAO low, you can see that my FPS already raised by about 15 just from that one setting. I could turn down other settings that also have a relatively high impact on GPU bound performance, say volumetrics, and undergrowth quality. We can turn that down to some GPU bottlenecks, and we could go for some mesh quality, just turn that down too. Not that I'd actually run these settings, but if I turn some of this stuff down as well, you'll see that I'm starting to net back performance because I'm turning down settings that have an impact on GPU bound performance as the settings say. Again, it's great that the Battlefield devs labeled it like this, and hopefully by me simply pointing this out to you, you'll be able to tune your settings the way that you should to not only get the best performance possible, but leave some settings alone that may not affect your performance. For example, if you were CPU bottlenecked, you may not want to turn down screen space, ambient occlusion, and global illumination because it actually doesn't have a high impact on your CPU bound performance. So you wouldn't actually see any difference whatsoever in your performance by turning this setting down if you were CPU bottlenecked. And when I say CPU bottlenecked, I mean your CPU was the part that was taking longer to compute a frame. I keep getting those words messed up. Alternatively, you can do what I did, for example, in advanced, and use upscaling if you are GPU bottlenecked to then improve your performance further. Since I am still GPU bottlenecked, if I wanted to, I could turn down my upscaler and use more aggressive upscaling to up my performance even further. So now you can see that my GPU and CPU are now neck and neck in terms of the amount of time it takes for them to commute a frame. And I'm just going to keep saying commute from now on for some reason. And I'm just going to walk around for a little bit with DLSS performance. I don't have a HUD on, so I can't even tell who's friendly and foe. I probably should have turned my HUD back on. Is that an enemy? I don't think so. I don't think that's an enemy. Well, you can see now I significantly improved my performance from the start of the match just by tweaking based on what my bottleneck was. And that's what you should do for most titles, not just for Battlefield 6. That's the same guy I was shooting at before. I'll be streaming drops. You can check out my Twitch in the link down below. And yeah, there should be a full settings guide out within like a week or so. I just need some more time to test everything and get all the screenshots and everything together. That's a tank. Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyway, gonna back out of that game now that that's over with. There should be a full settings guide up on the channel soon if you would like to get a more in-depth look on what each setting does, but I figured this on its own was enough to merit a full video on its own. So that's what I did. I hope this helped you figure out your performance issues. I know it's something that a lot of people who view my channel regularly probably know about already in terms of CPU and GPU bottlenecks, but Battlefield 6 is a really popular title, and I know there's going to be a ton of people who may not be as familiar with performance optimization, who want to try to get the most performance out of their hardware, and the developers have done a fantastic job on making that more accessible to people, given that you just know a little bit of the terminology. Anyway, make sure you join the Discord if you need some more help. Check out my streams if you want some drops. I'll be trying to stream during this week. And yeah, I'll see you all next weekend for Arc Raiders. And this will be Clem. Clocking out. Later.